Am I the a-hole for losing my mind after my wife's friend made her drink alcohol and tried to hook her up with another man? My wife went out with her friend for dinner. When her friend came over, she told us that it would just be her, my wife, and her other friends, and that they'd be back in about 2 hours or so. My wife didn't really want to go, but I encouraged her to have fun. I was at home looking after our daughter, but after an hour my wife suddenly texted me to pick her up, saying she was drunk and that there was a man next to her making her feel uncomfortable. Even if she hadn't felt uncomfortable, I would have gone anyway. I was confused because it was supposed to be a girls-only night, so why was a man involved? I asked my sister-in-law to look after my daughter and went to pick my wife up. I was angry, but I didn't want to embarrass my wife in front of everyone, so I said she was drunk, had never had alcohol before, and that our daughter was calling for her. Then I took her home. My wife told me she was shocked to see a man joining them for dinner, and that he was being overly friendly with her. He grabbed her hand and kept touching her shoulder. She didn't want to drink, but everyone kept pressuring her. I told my wife it wasn't her fault and she shouldn't blame herself, but I wanted clarification. I called her friend and asked why she had made my wife drink alcohol and why there was a man involved without us being informed. She doubled down and said she didn't need to inform me, that my wife should be able to handle alcohol and that she should be okay with being around men. I called her a bitch, told her she was no true friend to my wife, and told her to stay away from both of us. I ended up telling everyone in their actual group about what she did, and most of the women cut her off. As expected, she's mad and said I didn't need to be so dramatic and that she's lost some of her friends because of me. A few from their group say the same thing. It's so stressful going back and forth with these people, and I just want to cut them out of my life. They're toxic. The good ones can stay friends with my wife, but the rest, I want nothing to do with them. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. The fact that your wife was uncomfortable and texted you for help means that you are 100% not the a-hole. Sounds like your wife just weeded out a crappy friend. Good riddance. My wife was uncomfortable and she made a mistake, which she regrets, and I am glad that she called me. I can't possibly blame her. A lot of commenters here are calling me controlling, and the other half is blaming my wife for not saying no. I know she did, and my wife knows that if she's in distress, she can rely on me. She knows that if she's in trouble, I will give up everything to help her. Nobody forced your wife to drink. She could have said no, or stuck to one drink as to not get drunk. And yeah, friend is a crappy person for blindsiding her like that and pressuring wife into this. My wife was forced. Being peer pressured is being forced. Nobody should be pressured into doing something they never want to do. My wife had never drunk alcohol in her life. She had just one drink and got drunk. It was her first experience with alcohol, and she didn't know how to react. Mix that with her experience of another man grabbing her hand and touching her shoulder. Yeah, I don't blame my wife. She made a mistake, and everyone does. So did I, by trusting her friend. But her mistake is forgivable, and I would never blame her for actions influenced by others. OP, is your wife okay now? What are her afterthoughts? Please ask her for us. I'm genuinely curious to know how she views the situation now. Actually, after hundreds of comments, I think you are the only one who asked how my wife is doing. I think most people here just want to speak their mind and prove themselves right. My wife is fine, but she's sad because she lost a friend she used to trust. She was betrayed and harassed, and I think she just needs time for herself to sort out her thoughts. Thank you, kind stranger, for asking how she's doing. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not supporting my ex-wife and punishing my son? I, 48 male, have been divorced for 3 years now. I had 3 sons with my ex-wife, Carol. My sons are 20, 18, and 16. This story concerns my 18-year-old son, Mark. Important info. Carol and her family are extremely religious, traditional Irish Catholics. We're from a small Irish town, leaning toward being extreme in my opinion. Part of the reason for our divorce was how cruel or cold Carol could be to me, and especially to our sons. Since my older 2 sons are adults, they spend time equally at each of our houses. However, I have noticed all 3 of them being down or upset when they come home, which is really unlike them. On to the issue. Mark has a girlfriend who he has been dating for a year now. I sat him down and talked to him about safe sex, etc. He's an 18-year-old boy. I know he's going to do it even if I condemn the idea, so I figured the best course of action was to embrace the idea and encourage him to be safe. On Monday, Carol went out to move my son's car out of the way, and in the door card she saw an unopened condom. She flipped out, took his keys and phone, and called him a disgrace for doing it outside of marriage. I think it's important to note that we had our oldest 6 months before our wedding. Carol wants me to ban Mark from seeing his girlfriend and from also working on my farm, which my boys absolutely adore. I told her that will never happen because I don't see the issue. He's being safe and responsible, which I feel is more important than trying to make him wait until marriage. I also demanded she return his car. He bought and insured that car himself with his own money and refused any assistance from me to help pay for it. My son has battled severe depression since the death of my mother and my nephew 3 years ago, and that car has helped him more than words can describe. I demanded it be returned or I'd report her to the Garda. My son has been a shell of himself since this, and all 3 of my boys have asked why they aren't good enough for their mother or her family. My sons were with me and my dad feeding my lambs when I saw Carol arrive with Mark's car, followed by her mother who would bring her home. I demanded his phone too, since his phone is paid for under my family plan. My ex-mother-in-law created a huge scene, and she and my dad got into a very heated argument about us encouraging sin at such a young age. My dad, my colleagues, my friends, my siblings, and their spouses are all completely on my side and think Carol and her family have truly lost it. Part of me feels deep down that perhaps I'm too lenient, and maybe my son being active so young is an issue I should be punishing. Reddit, please be honest. Am I the a-hole in this situation? Not the a-hole. If anything, you are way too lenient on your ex-in-laws. If you punish your son for having sex before marriage while fathering his older brother outside of marriage, you will destroy the only safe place your sons have because your ex is a hypocrite. And she's trying to convince you to be one too, because if both your kids' parents are hypocrites, then her behavior doesn't seem as bad in comparison. Protect your kids and fight for full custody of the younger one. The fact that you haven't fought for full custody after your sons repeatedly asked why they aren't good enough for their mom is not making you look the best. And when you explain why you allowed her to make your kids sad and depressed, you will be explaining why you are so lenient on her. I fully accept that it wasn't great on my part not to fight for full custody. I suppose I felt it was important for them to have a mother figure, wrong as it may be. I will be contacting my solicitor to revisit custody of my youngest. I have Mark in therapy after my nephew, whom he was very close to, took his life, and then my mother had a fatal heart attack the week after. I only found this out today, but Carol told the boys my nephew, who was 16 when he died, was a weak-willed boy, and that my mother died because she was living in sin. Thanks for your comment, and I will get my youngest out ASAP. Not the a-hole. Tell Mark he does not have to go over to his mom's if he feels uncomfortable doing so. He is an adult, so there should not be any custody set up for him. You did the right thing. If she ever brings this up again, remind her that she had premarital sex and got pregnant. As Mark and my oldest are adults, they're not bound to any custody agreement. I worded it poorly in my post, but my 20-year-old has been very low contact with her since his 19th birthday, when she wanted him to chip into her mortgage. Mark just kept visiting because he's got a huge heart and wanted a relationship with his ma'am. I suspect that's going to stop now given how devastated he is. I'm going to have him speak to his counselor about this. Thank you for commenting. Next story. Am I the a-hole for wanting to cancel my wedding after my fiancé accidentally sold my late dad's guitar? When I was 14, my dad passed away suddenly. The only thing I kept of his was his old Fender guitar. It wasn't worth much money, but to me, it was priceless. He taught me to play on it, and every time I touched those strings, it felt like he was still here. I told everyone in my life, especially my fiancé, that this guitar was off limits. Fast forward to last weekend. We're getting married in 3 weeks. My fiancé has been on this weird minimalism kick, selling random things on Facebook Marketplace for extra honeymoon cash. I came home from work and noticed my guitar stand was empty. I thought maybe he moved it because we were deep cleaning. Nope, he sold it. When I confronted him, he said he forgot it was sentimental and thought it was just collecting dust. He even bragged that he got $150 for it. I lost it, ugly crying, shaking, couldn't breathe. He kept saying, "Babe, I'll just buy you another one. You can get the same model online." But it's not the same. My dad's fingerprints were literally worn into the fretboard. You can't buy that back. I immediately asked him to message the buyer to get it back. He refused at first because he didn't want to look stupid. I told him I didn't care if he looked like an idiot. Go get my guitar. When he finally reached out, the buyer said they'd already gifted it to their teenage son, who absolutely loves it and wouldn't give it back. Since then, my fiancé has been sulking, acting like I'm overreacting and ruining the wedding vibe. He told his mom, who already doesn't like me, and now his whole family is texting me to stop punishing him for an honest mistake. I'm not sure I can marry someone who can be this careless with something I've been crystal clear about for years. It's not about the guitar, it's about the fact that he didn't care enough to remember. Am I the a-hole for thinking about calling off the wedding? Now for the top comments. Time to go to the police and report the guitar as stolen. That's actually what I've been debating. I already spoke to the police once, but part of me feels like if I go through with filing an official stolen property report, there's no going back from that. It's the end of the relationship, period. But then again, maybe it should be the end. He knew exactly what that set meant to me, and he took it anyway. If that's not theft, I don't know what is. This is the only way to get your dad's guitar back, I fear. Exactly. OP, as hard as it is, the buyer clearly isn't going to give it back willingly, so going the official route might be your only real shot. That guitar holds way too much meaning to let it go without exhausting every option. Honestly, I wouldn't blame you at all for calling it off. This isn't just about a guitar, it's about the lack of respect, care, and understanding he showed towards something you made crystal clear was precious to you. The fact that he's sulking instead of taking full responsibility says a lot. You deserve a partner who values your feelings and possessions, especially ones tied to such deep memories, not the a-hole. Thank you. That's exactly how I feel. I've told him countless times over the years how much that guitar meant to me, and it's like it went in one ear and out the other. The fact that his first reaction was to defend himself instead of even trying to make it right is what's really eating at me. If he can dismiss something so personal now, what happens down the line when it's something even bigger? He knew it was important to you. He didn't care. He thought it would be easier to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. This man does not respect you. I would end it, but it's up to you. He took something very important to you and is sulking because you are rightfully angry. Is this the type of behavior you want to put up with for the rest of your life? That's exactly how it feels. Like he made a calculated decision that my feelings didn't matter as much as whatever story he told himself to justify it. And now, instead of owning it, he's sulking like I'm the one who did something wrong. I keep asking myself that same question. Is this the dynamic I want for the rest of my life? Right now, it's leaning toward a hard no. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take care of my sick mother-in-law after she told my husband to divorce me while I was in the hospital? So, some context. I, 32 female, have been married to my husband, 35 male, for 7 years. We have 2 kids, 5 male and 3 female. Last year, I had a complicated pregnancy with my daughter that landed me in the hospital for over a month. While I was admitted, my mother-in-law, 68 female, decided to help out at our house. I thought it was a kind gesture, until I found out what she was actually doing. Apparently, she told my husband multiple times that he deserves better and that I was too fragile to be a good wife and mother. She even went as far as telling him he should cut his losses and start fresh with someone healthier. My husband told me this months later, claiming he didn't take her seriously. Fast forward to now, my mother-in-law was recently diagnosed with a chronic illness and needs someone to take care of her for the next few months while she recovers from surgery. My husband asked if she could move in with us so I could help care for her during the day, since I work from home. I flat out said no. I told him that the woman who tried to convince him to leave me while I was fighting for my life is not welcome in my home, let alone under my care. He says I'm being cruel and holding a grudge, and that family helps family no matter what. Now his siblings are messaging me, calling me heartless, saying that she's old, she's sick, and she's sorry. But here's the thing, she's never actually apologized to me. The only time she's brought it up was to say, I was just worried about my son's future. My husband is barely speaking to me, and I'm starting to wonder if I am being too cold. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take care of her? Heck no, have her other family take care of her. Working from home is not a reason to pick you. Maybe Hubs can move in with mom and take care of her needs. Even if she didn't try and ruin your marriage, you shouldn't sign up for that. Exactly. Just because I work from home doesn't mean my office is a full-time care facility. And honestly, if my husband's best solution is to move in with her, that says a lot about where his priorities really are in this marriage. The fact that he says family helps family no matter what, without understanding you are his family, says a lot. Sounds like that only counts when it's his blood relative and he can use you for help. Otherwise, that doesn't seem to work in reverse. Why aren't your husband and his siblings stepping up to care for their mother? Or paying for professional care? No way should this fall on you. If you had a good relationship with her and you offered, that would be one thing. But she has advocated for your husband to leave you, never apologized, and then you were voluntold you are the only option, while working from home and caring for 2 children? Heck no. Nope sandwich with a side of nope sauce. Not the a-hole. Exactly, that's what I keep coming back to. She has other adult children who live closer and don't have 2 kids and a full-time job to juggle. I've been polite and cordial, but I'm not signing up to be the full-time caregiver for someone who's never respected me. The "you're the only option" line is just not true. They're just making it my problem because it's convenient.